So we will close with an in-depth look at Front 242 as they just released their brand new LP, another one scheduled for the summer, and a major tour in America, that is Lollapalooza 3, probably culminating in what is their biggest year in all of their career to date. This is Front 242.
Doesn't mean anything. It's like I was looking for a very strong name that would be translated easily, and 242 comes from somewhere in me, like people say damned, and I said 242. I don't know why, and the association came. It was just after '77, so everybody was into doing things for themselves. The punk scene started a lot of things, a lot of even business people making records. So it was difficult because there was nothing, but at the same time I wouldn't say, I think it would be more difficult at this time to start even doing that than it was in those days.
At the beginning, when we were in that position, in fact, it was almost an obligation, because there was nothing in this market in Belgium. There was nobody to reach about it. So what your attempt to do is like build a very strong little unit, I would say, like other bands like Young Gods have to do probably too in Switzerland. And it makes you being very tough, and also gives you a very strong idea about what you want to do, and because you're alone, you're forced to have a very strong project and a very directional way of working. Now that we're more comfortable for the last project, we had the opportunity to work with other people.
Don't remember precise time-wise what I was listening at that time, but I know I liked bands as Can, Kraftwerk, English band Torben Grissel, and even earlier stuff, German bands by names I forgot now, but things like that, yes.
Of course, some bands are peaks in that kind of music, but you're never conscious of what you're doing. It's like some other arts. If you just know after how important you were for that period, and at the same time, that's not the point for us. We keep going. We want to discover new things. We don't stop and think, well, now we're old enough, or we did enough things, we'll stop here, or we have that consideration. It's not very important. I remember the first time we had our name in a magazine. Jean Luc and myself, we were just screaming in the street like mad. Now we sometimes have facts coming up like, hey, you're 43 in the UK charts, and we feel like, well.
It's compartmented in Front 242. Basically, Patrick and me, we do what we call the thinking job. We come up with ideas, and then we propose them to Jean Luc, who is the lyricist and vocalist, and Richard, who is that too, but in a second stage. Richard is more the performer of Front 242. And then we see if they can come up with something. And if we need to expand, like we did on the second album, have a female singer coming in and do it, we can't ask Jean Luc to sing one octave higher, so you go and you ask the people you need. But we never did that before, because it wasn't like, for us, it's like another career we are beginning. So we see everything in a very open way. We don't want to have screens or frontiers in what we want to reach. I, for myself, are very bad in, I wouldn't do any good doing video. I can like give ideas, directions, and I'm very strongly I want to be involved in that or not. But I'm not very good in video, and I think Front 242 has never been very good. What we are good in sometimes is finding people that work and do good things for us. And usually we give them total freedom of go wherever they want.
Headhunter for Front 242, I decided to use a big act. I can't remember why I decided this. It doesn't really matter, you know, it's there and it worked.
I would like to be involved in a major soundtrack, or even not a major. When I say major, I mean something that's not 5 minutes, not a major movie. And also something where you are asked to create something instead of what we have now. They ask us, can we take that piece to put in the film? We would like very much to do soundtrack music. Well, we call the music we do, some part of it is already what we call soundtrack music.
Generally, each album must be a challenge. But it's true that the fact that you release that catalog makes you go through all those I would say, old projects. And it's quite a long career for us. And we felt that we were really on the edge.
We did see that already with Tyranny for You. It was like, let's close that part of our life, of our existence, and try to think about something in the future. The release of back catalog was even more about that, was this is finished and now we want to go on to something else.
We really needed to scream on this album. Maybe more than ever, we have been influenced by some American movements, musical movements, that are also very screamy or with a lot of distortion. I think when you want to change, there are not 200 ways of doing it. You have so many people expecting you to do the same thing, and it's so easy to release the same type Tyranny for You #2 and get your fans and maybe sell a little less records but still being okay. Challenge, risks, that's what makes life spicy. The basic start is that you want to change, you want to challenge yourself, and you're gonna have to reconsider internally even your way of working. And at that level, the only way to challenge for us was to call other people and to try to mix those people with what we were doing and trying that way to reach something different. What is very important is to keep the idea and know what you want as a result. And then the other people are kind of used with their talent, of course, but they're used in your project. And you keep something very personal at the end, because you're like a movie director. You're in charge and control of most things. We liked all the people we asked to do these mixes. Also in the 80s, you could go for a mix and the mixer was reasonably transparent about it. In the 90s, I think mixers have such personality in so many cases that, of course, the risk that you don't have really a total 242 record, but almost like a Prodigy or a Orb or a Jim Thirlwell mix, those chances are, we knew it. And all you can do is, I like the guy, I give him my material, and I trust him. Andy Wallace is a very unique character. He's a quite old guy, very wise. He's used to generally do more rock bands like Sonic Youth, Nirvana, Rage Against the Machine, all those bands. And it would have been so easy to choose an electronic producer like Flood or Sherwood, which have a lot of qualities, but again here we really want to have a shock in between two cultures, two ways of doing. And for him also it was a great challenge, because he told us it has been 20 years he didn't do any electronic music, and it was disco at the time. So suddenly this guy was in front of a mixing desk, like 48 tracks of just electronic stuff. It was very difficult for him to do it. But each evening when we came back to the studio, we gave him the idea in the morning and what we wanted to reach. And each evening when we came back to the studio, the surprise was just great. We really liked what he did as a work. There was nothing to say. We probably would have done it differently. But the work he did, the general landscape of what he did was perfect.
Even when you have your first album out, you don't think it is possible that somebody wants to get that album. Lollapalooza is the same thing. You don't imagine yourself being in a position. It's something, at one point we were like, it would be nice to be on there, and then it's like a dream and you say, okay, forget it, we won't even be considered to be there. And as a European band, being the one European band there, yeah, it's nice. We're not even English, so it's even nicer, I think. We wanted to do everything over again and start fresh. And when we started, I remember each record was the first, but also the last one. And this record, for the new Front 242, could be the last one, as it is also the first one. So you want to make a very strong statement and something that you're not ashamed of in 2 years. That's basically how I relate to music. I want to say something, I make no concessions about it, and I want it to be understood that if nothing comes afterwards, I have no excuse. This is it.
Didn't you figure it? Each number is a letter of the alphabet. So 06 is F, 21 is U, 03 is C, and you know about the last one.